His name was Osama bin Mohammed bin Awad bin Laden, or Osama bin Laden for short. He was born in 1957 in Saudi Arabia into a very wealthy family. His father was Mohammed Awad bin Laden, who struck it rich in the construction business, heading his company, the Saudi bin Laden Group. Bin Laden Sr. worked many high-profile jobs for King Faisal and was very well connected with the royal family. Osama bin Laden was educated at the King Abdul Aziz University in Jeddah, where he received some influence from the Muslim Brotherhood, a powerful Islamic movement. Bin Laden took notice of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in the 1980s. He went to Pakistan to get involved and encouraged many Pakistanis, Afghans, and Saudis to join the fight. He brought with him construction supplies to help the cause. In 1986, he began setting up military and refugee camps and later created the central base to get organized, namely Al-Qaeda. After returning to Saudi Arabia, he was banned from further travel, so instead he preached of the impending conflict with Saddam and Kuwait. After the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, Saudi Arabia began to become increasingly wary of bin Laden's activities, which had moved increasingly towards only jihad, or religious war. He eventually fled to Sudan, where he was welcomed by the new Islamic regime, and so bin Laden set up shop for a while. However, in the 1990s, Sudan began to freeze bin Laden's assets, an estimated $200 to $300 million worth, and then kicked him out in 1994. In response, he started the Advice and Reform Committee to push his jihad agenda. The first major anti-American attack came in 1995 from a car bomb in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, but bin Laden never claimed responsibility. In 1996, there was a car bombing in Kabar, Saudi Arabia, for which Saudi officials have claimed bin Laden to be responsible. While in Afghanistan, bin Laden issued a declaration of war against the United States to expel American forces from the Arabian Peninsula. The new power in Afghanistan was the Taliban, led by this guy, Mullah Omar. Omar supported bin Laden, but urged him to stay low. In 1997, the U.S. planned a special forces operation to kill bin Laden in Afghanistan. However, news of the plan was leaked to bin Laden through Pakistani officials, and bin Laden evaded capture. In 1998, bin Laden issued another fatwa, declaring the formation of an international front and the sanctioned killing of Americans and Jews. In 1998, the U.S. embassies in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and Nairobi, Kenya were targeted for attack. 224 were killed, including 12 Americans, and 4,500 were injured.
Secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror.
Strong anti-American sentiments were growing among bin Laden and his followers, and they began carrying out destructive terrorist attacks around the world. On February 26, 1993, a car bomb exploded at the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. 6 were killed and 1,042 were injured. On October 12, 2000, terrorists bombed the USS Cole at dock in Aden, Yemen. 17 were killed and 39 injured. And the most infamous of them all, September 11, 2001, where after a series of coordinated plane hijackings, around 4,000 Americans lay dead and 10,000 injured.
Flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision. Can you see it? I can see it on this shot.
Oh my!
Something else has
You know what?
and
We
that
just
looked
saw
more
a
like
plane circling the
747.
building.
It is in the other building.
We just saw a plane.
Following the attacks on 9/11, President Bush initiated several programs to step up national security, which some call an attack on civil liberties. Warrantless wiretapping on American citizens, the USA Patriot Act, and waterboarding torture at Guantanamo Bay began in the name of national security. And of course, airport security. The Transportation Safety Administration has evolved into a pain in the neck for travelers in an effort to prevent another 9/11. Bin Laden had been a symbol of terrorism for the world, and many hoped that Al-Qaeda and the terrorism would weaken with his death, while others feared retaliation. Increased American involvement in the Middle East has also increased tensions between the Muslim-American and Arab-American relations both at home and abroad. Fighting terrorism is extremely costly in the United States, with the military budget increasing year after year. 9/11 was a wake-up call to government agencies, causing them to start working together and sharing information with each other, because in the 21st century, all the guns in the world won't do you any good if you can't find your target who's hiding in a crowd of innocent civilians. Although most Americans have moved on from the constant threat of domestic terrorism, bin Laden has left a permanent scar in the United States, and the threat of terrorism has become the new norm.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda.
For all intents and purposes, he was killed in the suburbs,
less than 40 miles from where the president of Pakistan lives. There are no rocky caves near bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad, but there are golf courses in the Pakistan Military Academy, and his house was 8 times bigger than any home in the neighborhood.
The operation was called Neptune Spear, the mission to capture or kill bin Laden. But we learned today that the mission didn't quite go down as initially described. As the 25-man assault team landed in stealth-configured helicopters and spread throughout the darkened compound, gunfire quickly erupted and was sustained through the 40-minute operation, even as the SEALs climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor. But when they came face to face with bin Laden, we learned for the first time today that the resistance that the White House had said bin Laden put up did not include a weapon. Weapon or not, the SEALs in that split second had no way of knowing whether bin Laden was wearing a suicide vest or whether the room was booby-trapped.
The SEALs were shooting their way up the stairs to bin Laden's bedroom. Finally, McCraven reported Geronimo, EKIA. Geronimo, code name for bin Laden, EKIA, enemy killed in action. Now the SEALs had to get out before the Pakistanis scrambled jets to shoot down the unknown intruders. Only one Black Hawk could fly, so McCraven sent in a Chinook to help pick up the SEALs who were hauling bin Laden's body and a treasure trove of captured computers, CDs, and paper files. The helos headed straight for an aircraft carrier where bin Laden was to be buried at sea.
Tensions were high in the Situation Room of the White House on May 1, 2011, as top government officials waited anxiously to hear the news of the operation. But now, the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attack can rest easy, knowing that their deaths have been avenged by the swift power of American justice. Although the mission was a success, it was not flawless. One of the helicopters was damaged during the operation and had to be destroyed by the Marines. However, large chunks remained, and they were collected by Pakistani officials. Now the U.S. fears that pieces could make their way to China, where a stealth helicopter could be reverse engineered. As a result of assassinating bin Laden in Pakistani territory without telling them, even if the U.S. had reason enough not to, tensions are high between the two countries. American officials find it hard to believe that Pakistan had no idea that bin Laden was hiding where he was. In backlash against the United States, Pakistan jailed Dr. Shakil Afridi for 33 years under charges of treason. Afridi helped lead American officials to bin Laden.
A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. Terrorist attacks can shake the foundations of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America.
Bin Laden had a tremendous effect on American society for nearly 2 decades. He changed the way some of us go about our daily lives and significantly impacted American foreign policy. 10 years after that fateful day on 9/11, we can finally say justice has been done.